when you and your partner both split. So someone wrote me recently and asked if I could do a video on how to not only deal with when you and your partner are both splitting, but also how you notice it. So let's get into it. So first, we got to notice that it's happening first. And typically, the way you can identify splitting is that you start thinking and perceiving and labeling what's going on, the conversation, and the individual that you're splitting on in extreme terms. You might use things like never, always, should, must, these intensive, extreme terms that leave no room for flexibility. And splitting is, of course, black and white thinking. It's idealization and devaluation. It's these two polar opposites. It's the yin and yang. And when we look at things that way, what we're actually doing is we're limiting our options or opportunity for managing the situation and controlling ourselves. And if we don't notice it, you can easily become just a victim to the response and the consequences that come from it. And if you think back and think, okay, when I've split on situations, have I had a better outcome? When I've split on my partner, or he or she or they have split on me, have it worked out? Have the situations been resolved? And if you look back, the odds are pretty good that they haven't. Perhaps periodically that there's been so much just explosive emotions and reactions that eventually you both get tired, and then either you tolerate the forgiveness or you tolerate the infraction or whatever happened that caused it. So then you maybe make up. You make up sex, make up conversation, maybe you both cry together, maybe somebody storms out and then you cool down. But what happens is the storming out, it wears away at the relationship and it builds resentment. And that resentment, you start to feel it over time because it creates a distance between you and your partner. And it's very insidious, very slow. It's like a slow poison just decaying your relationship. And you start to pull back, pull back, pull back, pull away, pull away. And they're doing it or you're doing it. And if you're along the BPD spectrum, and not only individuals with BPD split, we know that other individuals split as well. But with BPD, what happens is that distance can really trigger some core content of abandonment, rejection sensitivity, and emptiness. And when those things get triggered, then you really fall into an intensive fear. It can be a downward spiral that can encourage depression. Could be anxiety, could be panic attacks. All of this surface structure issues that I talk about in my books and in other videos start to really come up and negatively impact the relationship. So when you and your partner are splitting, so you both have split, so that means someone's in the yin and someone's in the yang. And you guys are just both just separate. You're not seeing each other. You're not hearing each other. You're reacting to your own distorted perceptions. So what do you do about it? First, as I mentioned, you got to catch it. Once you catch it, then say to your partner, and you and your partner, when everything is nice and calm and chill, say, hey, I think we have a tendency to split a little bit. And when we do it, you or I should mention, hey, I think we're splitting. Let's take a break. And decide what you're going to do during that break. How long it's going to be, average, right? Don't split on the time. Oh, it's going to be exactly 15 minutes and 14 seconds. Obviously, you're not going to do that. But say, you know what? Let's just split for a little bit. And when we come back, we'll discuss the issue. What you can do is when you separate, then, and you're not breaking up, right? You're just allowing yourself to calm down, to process. Because when you calm down, you're better able to see the situation and your partner authentically. And that's what you need to do. Because it's hard to deal with the issue if you're both splitting and you're both seeing distorted views of self, others, and the situation. So you've slowed down. You start to separate a little bit, right? For however long, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hours, whatever it may be. Then during that time that you're apart, you can write out what your concerns are. Write out your feelings. Don't stuff it inside because that gives this family in the head, that gives BPD an opportunity to manipulate you, to create a greater sense of distortion. And it gives it time to trigger that core content of abandonment, emptiness, and rejection sensitivity. And that's not what we want, because that adds to the distortion, adds to the fear. That's not what we want to do. You want to stay calm. You want to push back on that BPD. Recognize some of those indicators, those emotional buttons and triggers. I have videos on that you might find helpful too. Then when you guys come back together, when the two of you come back together, then discuss calmly what the issue is and agree to discuss calmly. And that doesn't mean that when you get back together, suddenly you're not going to split, because it takes a while to learn and communicate authentically without the split, without the yin and the yang. So it can take some time, and allow yourself that time. That's so important. And what you'll find over time is that you and your partner grow together, that you're managing stressful situations better, that you guys are you're coming together in a more pure, authentic fashion. And that's what all of us want out of our relationships. We want to be able to be open and comfortable, sharing our fears, doubts, issues, everything that goes on in life. And we all have 1,000 different things that's going on in life. And sharing it can be really valuable. And splitting takes away from that. So learning how to manage it helps you do it differently. And I hope this video helped. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.